I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're featuring a powerful book. It is called My Honor to Serve, 9/11/01 World Trade Center Disaster. It's written by Commander David Bates. This gripping memoir details his role as chief pharmacist during the aftermath of 9/11, offering a first-hand account of the challenges and heroism of disaster response. If you're ready for a powerful story of resilience, service, and the human spirit, this is an interview you won't want to miss, and this is a book you'll absolutely want to pick up. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Commander, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. Well, I appreciate the help that you're doing here for me because I need to reach the responders. I really do. I think every responder needs to at least have the opportunity to buy this book. At least have the opportunity because it'll speak to them. It'll
I
speak to
agree.
them.
It's hard to believe that 9/11 was 23 years ago or so. It seems like it was just, months ago, maybe. Um, but I'm sure for you who was down there and witnessed the horror firsthand, um, the memories are still very, very real and very, very alive still, right?
Yes, they are. They're pretty well seared into my memory.
Yeah. From your time down on 9/11, is there a story or a episode or an experience that really stands out for you?
Yes, I would say one of them was I'm sure you have a lot of people who are watching it probably have a great love pets. Okay, we don't think about that during 9/11 really, but we had urban search and rescue dogs out there on the piles that would be out there for hours. And anyway, I got a call one day from the veterinary medical assistance team, and they asked me if I could get some medication for them. And I told them it'd take a day to get it. And I got it, and then I went out there to them. But as we got there to at the site, I saw them out there where they were performing with their dogs, throwing the ball around, retrieving, bringing it back, and all that. And that looked pretty normal. But a guy came up to me and says, Commander Dave says, this these dogs are going out there and they're not finding anything on the pile. And he says they gone into depression. And these trainers are actually just playing ball and catch and retrieve, and just to build up their confidence that they can still find what they're looking for. And I said, wow, that's very interesting. Then I went on and I got to the next part of the veterinary group there, and there was a dog on IVs on a gurney, you know, and I've never seen that. I was taken by surprise on that. But they said, yeah, he's been working out there for hours on the pile. But we got to remember that some places on the pile was still 1,200 degrees when I got there, Fahrenheit. And these dogs were out there. They search and they just get dehydrated. And there they had to give him fluids and stuff. And then finally, I gave him the medication that they wanted me to get. They said, what is happening is that they're sniffing so much out there on the pile, trying to find, people or parts, that they were trained to do. And he says that they get so much of the dust, the toxic dust, and everything that's gone into their nose, and it's getting down their throats, their mouths, their lungs, and everything. But they were developing ulcers in their stomach. So this medication that I had to get for them was to help seal those ulcers down in their stomach, and made me feel good to think that we were contributing to even that side of the house in helping these dogs. That stood out to me.
That stands out to me too as a dog lover, and realizing the work that these dogs do to help people is just amazing. I remember that day I was covered 9/11 as a news reporter that day. I was working for WWOR TV, and What was really heartbreaking was the fact that so few people went to the hospital. That either you survived and you were fine or you were dead. There were
Yeah.
very few people who were in between. Was that your apprisement of the situation as well? That either you lived or you died. There was not too many injuries or survivable injuries.
Well, that's true. After 27 hours after the first building, well, actually, it's Tower 2 collapsed, 27 hours after that was the last person pulled out of the rubble that was alive after the first 27 hours. That was it. There was no more people to be rescued, even though we looked and looked and looked. But there was no more people to be rescued. But the people that we had to treat, we were that week that I specify in my book from September 19th to September 29th, when I was there heading up the pharmacy response, we were treating 2,500 people a week. And you say, well, where's these people coming from? I mean, this is a week after 9/11,
Yeah.
and it took us a week to get there because of all the other problems they had. They didn't have no planes and stuff at that time.
Right.
So anyway, what I was seeing was all the workers, the volunteers, and all the
Yeah.
people like that were out there working. They were getting sick, they were getting pneumonias, they were having all kinds of issues, wounds, injuries, and unfortunately, there were some that even lost their lives out there on the pile.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we were having to deal with all the time. It was amazing.
Tell us a little bit about your role. Was it set up like triage, first aid? Tell us a little bit about your role as the chief pharmacist at the World Trade Center. And were you doing this as part of a military action? Tell us a little bit about your role.
I work for the United States Public Health Service. And just to kind of give a little bit of fill in here, I was in the Kansas City area when 9/11 happened. I was there to get ready to recruit pharmacists from the University of Missouri at Kansas City School of Pharmacy for the United States Public Health Service when this started to break. And then I went on down. I went ahead and got set up and going in, but I had people talking to me, let me know what was going on. And this secretary came to me and says, "Man, we just had another plane crash into the Pentagon." And I asked her, I said, "Can I make a phone call um, outside line?" And she said, "Sure, I'll get you set up." She took me back there and I called headquarters. And I asked them, I said, and I got through, which was amazing to me on that day, that I got through to headquarters for the response. And I asked them, but the gal who answered the phone was someone I knew, which was even more unbelievable. I had served with other disasters with her. And anyway, I asked her, I told her what I was doing. I said, "What do you want me to do from here?" And she said, without just a little bit of a pause, she says, "Dave, get home as fast as you can and wait for orders." Well, we did. We took out of there and we went home and did all that. But it took a while to get there, like I said, over a week because there was no planes that were flying because all that stopped. And that's what my first paragraph of the book is. A book 9/11/01 is the day America stood still. And that's what happened. We stood
Yeah.
still that day.
Yeah.
But we got home, and as I got there and we set up everything to get going, from my point, I was assigned to the management support team, which is the leadership of all the disasters, and I represented the pharmacy aspect of it. Well, we had set up 5 treatment sites around 9/11, around the pile. Okay. And that's my mission, was to make sure they had everything they could possibly need to treat these people that were needing help.
Hmm.
And then whatever problems and concerns that came up. And one of those was really significant is when my chief medical officer, Dr. Gum from the U.S. Army came in and he told me that, hey, I was out on the pile. We got a problem. We need cyanide antidote kits. We got cyanide gas leaking. And I said, sir, I said, that's not an easy thing to come by. I said, the warehouses don't normally stock those things. We have to go find them. And he says, whatever you got to do, do it. And I said, okay. So I called up my supplier and I asked him, I said, hey, this is what we need. I need 12 cyanide antidote kits as soon as we can. He says, well, we don't carry those, in our warehouses. I said, I figured that. I said, but tell them who we are, where we are, and what
Mm.
we're doing. We need help. And he says, I'll do it. And he got on his line. And this is like 9 in the morning. And by 2 in the afternoon, their Eastern time, I had all 12 kits delivered to me on the 50th floor of the Sheraton Hotel. And so when Dr. Gum came back in 3 p.m. that afternoon, and I told him, I said, I got your kits and they're ready to go. And he looked at me and he says, well, I ain't even had time to write up the protocols. And I said, well, sir, you've got them when you need them. And that made me feel good that we were ahead of the ball there.
Amazing, amazing. Everybody went the extra mile. Everybody realized the urgency of this thing. Everybody knew it was perhaps the darkest day in American history that day. Where was the cyanide gas coming from?
It is coming from a certain part in the pile. I don't know what the
Right,
source was,
right.
but it was just leaking. But the
Amazing.
pile was,
It
it
was just a toxic pile of everything, right?
it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. The city smelled for, I think, months afterwards, or maybe even a year or more. I do remember the smell. Like I said, I was reporting from across the river on Liberty Island that day, watching people come off of the
Mm.
scene, and then later on following up and walking down to the pile. It did stay with you. I wasn't there as long as you were. What was the toll on you physically, mentally, emotionally, being down there and witnessing this devastation?
Well, in chapter 6, I go over that pretty well. That's the day that they asked me to go down to ground zero, go to the pile. And I went there, and what got me was the size of the debris fields. The debris fields. They're 7, 10 stories high. I could not believe that. That was just unbelievable. And it stunned me. It really did. I said, now, as a military person, I never saw combat, but I said that had to be as close as I ever got to it to see the debris filled like that. And the destruction, the fire's still burning, it's still smoking. Remember, this is a little over a week after it all happened, a week and a half after it all happened, and it's still burning. It's
Mm.
still smoking. Like I said, the temperature was still 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit in some places on that pile. And as you go along, one of the things that does stand out to me was when I went out of church site, which was one of the main ones that was right at the site of the pile. You just walked right out and you were there.
Yeah.
That's how close it was, a treatment site. And I went out there and I saw all these huge earth moving machines. And we see all the people. And the people look so small compared to this debris
Yeah.
field. But I looked down over the pile and I saw a little, I got a picture in the book actually. It's a little, just looks like a little black dot on the pile looking there. But what that was a ski gondola filled with men that were just being lifted down or suspended down to where they could oversee the pile and overlook it to see if there were people or remnants of people um, before they started moving stuff. And that just ripped my heart out. That was hard on me emotionally. Think that
Amazing.
what these guys were doing.
Yeah. Amazing the sacrifice that all of the first responders and second responders and workers down there at the 9/11 site, at the pile, and in and around it did and made for our country. And like you said, many paid with their lives years afterwards because of illnesses.
Good.
Yeah. It's
That
important
was,
to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That was one of the things that in doing this book came out to me was that in 2021, I looked back at the statistics and I saw that out of the 112,000 volunteers or people who assigned there, like me, who had orders there or just assigned there, we had 24, I believe, government agencies involved in responding, and plus the military
Yeah.
and volunteers, all kinds of volunteers, 112,000 altogether for that year that of cleanup and everything. But out of that in 2021, they said that 6,314 had already died because of toxic dust, infections, and 60 different cancers that had been attributed to working on the pile.
Mm.
And that's what I want to kind of get out, not only about the people that we lost that day and about New York City, but it's emergency response and those people who sacrificed everything, you know, just to help people who are in a real tough needing part.
Just like the firefighters that ran up into the towers, even though they were burning and
Exactly.
collapsing, the men and women who put their lives on the line in the days and weeks and months afterwards are heroes as well. And the numbers from 9/11 should be actually revised to 10,000 or more, considering all the people who died of illnesses related to 9/11. The name of the book is Honor to Serve 9/11/01 World Trade Center Disaster. It's written by Commander David Bates. It is a gripping memoir that details his role as the chief pharmacist during the aftermath of 9/11, offering a firsthand account of the challenges and heroism of the disaster response. Commander, thank you for your service and thank you for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you, Logan. I appreciate this.
I appreciate your time and your insight and your candor about this situation. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.